Alright, what is going on, ladies and laddies? I hope your day's happy dandy so far, and in today's video I have the 6th episode of the France Chronicles. Now, today's episode is about me possibly getting scammed for money, or there was the potential for it. It didn't actually happen, but I'm going to explain how it could have, and this has the potential to be a long story, so I'm going to try not dilly-dally on the details. I'm just going to try and get straight into it and tell the story as concisely as possible. So, what happens is, this was about a week ago, roundabout, approaching 2 weeks ago. I was walking to work, and this car is driving kind of slowly alongside me on the road. Now, I had my earphones in, but even at my peripheral vision, I noticed there was a guy leaning out the car with the window down and trying to get my attention. So I took, like the idiot I am, took my earphones out and then went over to see what he wanted. Now, that's mistake number one. You don't do that if a car is pulling alongside you, kind of weirdly or suspiciously, and the driver's trying to talk to you. You don't go up to them, you just keep on walking across the street or turn off the road, something like that. But I went up to this guy to see what he wanted, and he asked me, "Do you speak English?" And I said, "Yes, you're in luck. I'm actually Scottish, so I speak English completely fluently." So he was like, "Oh, great." So he started asking me, well, the first question he asked me was, "Is there somewhere I can pull in to talk to you? Because my daughter and I are on holiday, but we need some help." So I said, "Okay, well, there's like a lay-by up ahead." It was this kind of driveway that veers off the right side of the road, so I thought he can pull in there and talk to me. And while he was pulling up, he was asking questions like, "So are you a student here? What are you doing in France? Yada, yada, yada." And then he introduces himself, and I'm not going to give out his name. I don't know if this actually was his name or not, because if he was a scammer, he could use a fake name, but I'm not going to give his name out anyway, regardless of whether it's real or not. So he then basically explains that he and his daughter are on holiday there in France for 10 days, and they had their car broken into when they were visiting a church. Now, this was allegedly a problem for him, because in his car, he had some valuables that got stolen. For example, both his daughter's passport and his passport were stolen. Both his wallet and his daughter's purse were stolen. And on top of that, his daughter's epilepsy medication was stolen. And apparently these guys who broke into his car broke in and also smashed the radio for whatever reason. Then he showed me his car radio, and it was kind of cracked from what I remember, but it didn't, that didn't seem like a necessary detail. It didn't really seem, as if someone had gone out their way to punch it, especially if you, like, someone were breaking into your car. Why would they take the time of their day to break the radio? Surely you'd want to have a quick getaway instead of messing around like that. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So that was kind of the first red flag, because I was thinking, okay, A, why would they break your radio? And B, why did you have your passports and your wallets in your car? Wouldn't you leave some of that stuff, and the epilepsy medication, wouldn't you leave that stuff at the hotel? So I got a bad feeling when he started saying this. So I said to him, "I'm going to stop you right there, mate. If it's about money, I won't be of any help to you. I can't help you because, well, I'm not about to give this guy some money, because I had the feeling he wasn't just going to ask for a few euros." And I was right. He then goes on to say, no, it's not a financial thing. It's not about money. But he then goes on to say, "I have money in my British bank account." He was actually Irish, so he said his Irish bank account, but he shows me his online banking on his phone, and that checks out. He does have money in this. I'm not going to give out the bank name or anything, trying to keep this as anonymous as possible, but he does have money in his bank account. But he says the problem is he can't spend that money here, so what he needs some euros. So he says, "I don't need money, I need different money. So could you transfer me some euros from if you have a French bank account, if you're living here," which I guess he knew I was living here because I said that I was. "If you have a French bank account, could you transfer me some euros to use?" Now, obviously, this doesn't make any sense, because if he's asking me to transfer him euros to that account he showed me, the money's going to go into that account. And he can't use this account in France, apparently. And he's not going to be able to use that money, so it doesn't matter how much I give him, he's not going to be able to use it full stop. So I then said, "Honestly, I wouldn't be comfortable transferring you money. I wouldn't really want to do that, because obviously that's the smart thing. I'm not stupid, right? Well, maybe I'm a bit stupid, but in this situation, I wasn't stupid. I could read this guy, and I knew that he wanted me to transfer him money for whatever reason. I guess he'd take my money, and he said he'd pay me back, but I didn't believe that. And on top of that, if I had transferred him my money, he then would have had my bank details, which would have been very, very bad, as you can imagine. So he then tries to, when I said no, I said I wouldn't be comfortable with it, he then tries to kind of pull out the pleading sob story, like, "Come on, I'm just trying to get home, I just want to get myself and my daughter back home." But another thing is, it doesn't matter how much money you have, if you don't have passports, how are you going to get back home? So then I kind of changed the subject and I said, well, have you gone to the town hall for help? And he said, yes. I went, told them my situation. They called the police for me and they said there was nothing they could do. So apparently, right, he goes to the town hall, goes to the police. There's nothing they can do for him. So he's now left driving around the streets asking random people for money. That was another red flag. They would not leave you in a situation that desperate. They would direct you to the embassy in France for, well, okay, there is an embassy for countries out with the EU, but Ireland is still in the EU, so it would be even easier for him to visit the embassy. On top of that, he could open a temporary bank account in a branch in France from the bank brand which he was using, if that makes sense. So I suggested to him that he goes to the police again, goes to the town hall again, explains his situation, and also or he could go to a money exchange place as well, exchange some of his pounds sterling for euros. And he once again tries to kind of pull the desperation card. He's like, just trying to get home. On top of that, it's hard to find people here who speak English. I don't speak a lick of French. You're like one of the first people I found who speaks English, which again was weird because obviously there must have been people who spoke English in the town hall to help him. So I said, no, honestly, man, like, I'm sorry. I wish you the best, but I can't help you financially. I can give you advice. My advice is go to an exchange broker or go to the police in the town hall again, do something like that, but it's kind of out with my control. So he says, okay, if you don't want to transfer me money, could you at least give me €50 out of goodwill for fuel, because he had half a tank. And I was thinking €50 is a fair amount of money, and I think that's something scammers would do. They'll ask you for an amount that's profitable for them, that it's worth their while scamming you, but it's not so much that it would put you off giving them the money. But I was thinking, if he considers €50 to be a charity amount, how much money was he going to ask me to transfer him exactly? Because he showed me the amount of money in his account. He had a decent amount, so we could have been talking an amount in the hundreds or possibly even in the thousands. I have no idea. But I said to him, no, again, man, I don't, like, I wouldn't be comfortable giving you any money, and I'm afraid I can't. So the only thing I can do is give you advice. So he was like, okay, so there's nothing you can do for me, you can't help me. And I said, no, I've given you some advice, I would do that, and I wish you the best of luck. And he said, okay, I wish you the best too. Can you help me pull out the driveway? So I said, sure, absolutely. And stood behind his car while he was pulling out, and then he got out onto the road, and he said, okay, well, thank you anyway. See you later, pretty much. So at first I kind of felt bad because I thought, okay, he probably was a lost tourist. But then the more I thought about it, the more things didn't add up. And all the people I spoke to about it, I spoke to quite a few people and explained what happened. And they all said it was a huge red flag, the entire situation, and it was most definitely a scam. So I did the right thing. He didn't get anything from me apart from my time, but he didn't get any money, which is what he was after. But this doesn't end there. So I kind of wondered what had happened to him. Did he get home all right? Whatever. And then a week later, on the exact same day, a week later, around about the same time, I'm walking to work. This time I'm in a different part of the city, but I'm walking to work again, and this car is kind of driving past on the road. It says, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" And then I said, what, excuse me? And then he repeated, but as he was repeating the question, do you speak English? I looked at him and I realised it was the same guy from last week. And I looked in his car and saw that his same quote-unquote daughter was in the car as well. And I don't even know if this woman was his daughter, because when he introduced her the first time, I looked in and she was kind of just looking straight ahead. She wouldn't really look at me. So again, no idea if that was a lie either. So then upon realising this second time, it's the same guy, but that he didn't recognise me, I don't think, because he was asking, do you speak English? If he recognised me, he would surely know that I spoke English and would try again. So, with some quick thinking, I said in French, no, I'm on my way to work. And then upon hearing this quick French coming out of my mouth, which sounded exactly like a native speaker's French, his face kind of dropped. And then I said in kind of fake broken English, and no, I don't speak English. So he said, okay, no worries, and then drove off. So the same guy trying to talk to me again, but this time I said, no, I don't speak any French. So that all but confirms that he's not a tourist, but he does live in France, and he does have a genuine Irish accent. You couldn't fake an accent that accurately for that long. And on top of that, on his car, it did have an Irish number plate, not a French one. So I don't know what he's doing here. He must be living here temporarily or something, and just driving around trying to scam people for money. So moral of the story is don't approach people when they pull up in their car to you in the first place, but also listen very carefully to what they're saying and be observant, because I was observant about the various little things in the story that didn't add up, and looking at his car as well. All these little details combined let me know that this was most likely a scam. So if people are asking you for money, if you and I like to help people when they ask me for money. I don't always do it, but if a homeless person or someone like that, for example, were to ask me for money, I would give them a couple of euros, because obviously a couple of euros is nothing. But when we're talking about like a minimum amount of 50 euros, that's a completely different story. So moral of the story is it's not a bad thing to give people money if it's a few euros, but if it's reaching a big amount and they're trying to sell you some fake story, then just keep walking. Just don't give them money, don't give them any time of your day, and just try not to get scammed. Be careful about it. Anyways, that was a pretty crazy story. It's already pretty long. This is 11 minutes now, but I thought that it would be. It's a funny story to tell. I look back on it and I think it is funny, and on top of that, it's fairly interesting as well. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to toss a like my way, and possibly, maybe even consider subscribing. That is always something that you could do. And yeah, we'll see you dudes on the other side. Peace out, people. Welcome to